Greetings from the mountains of Colombia. As you can see, we're here in the Andes, about an hour from Bogota. And my name is J Weiskopf. The name of the series is Ayahuasca Express. Although we're going to deal with a lot of other subjects, that is the core of this series of talks. I have ayahuasca, the vine, ayahuasca, the leaf, chagropanga, I have San Pedro cactus, I have tobacco, and some other sacred plants. You can see the root of the Yajé vine, which is still alive. This is the above-mentioned chagropanga. This is the complement to the ayahuasca vine. This is what brings the visions. These are some ayahuasca vines that dried, unfortunately, and this opens the blood-brain barrier to receive the visions from this plant. I am not going to limit myself to ayahuasca, and so I should explain the motivation and a bit the philosophy of my talks. It has to do with being a writer with very little recognition so far. And it's very sad because in the good old days, when I was a student many years ago, at university, in the days of Norman Mailer and John Updike and people like that in the United States, a writer wrote a good book and then he became a celebrity. Nowadays, with the social media and the other corrupt forces we know of, it seems that you have to become a celebrity first before anyone takes your writing seriously. And doing this very reluctantly because I think that I should be judged on the merits or otherwise of my work, not on the fact that I talk well or I'm a curious personality. But apart from not being published, I'm in a tough economic situation, so the idea of this program also is to get some contributions to help me keep on writing. Now, I find it impossible, I have found it impossible up to now to be an artist, a writer on the one hand, and a salesman on the other. But this seems to be the sine qua non order of recognition if you're a novelist or a short story writer or a poet like myself. You have to be a showman. You have to develop a campaign on the social networks and sell yourself and do extravagant things, and then maybe you'll get noticed and published. I don't like that, but it's a reality, and I'm forced into it. Now, to bring that back to the subject of ayahuasca, I want to be recognized as a writer, not as for my subject, which in the only books I published so far have been ayahuasca. But for me, the value of these books stands or falls on my talents as a writer, not because ayahuasca is an exotic subject, which I happen to have entered into pretty early on, some 40 years ago. There's another facet to this, which is one of my teachers, Don Antonio, years ago, he's now dead. He used to say in Spanish, El ayahuasquero tiene que saber de todo. That is, the person who drinks ayahuasca, more the healer, has to know about everything. Because ayahuasca is about human nature, it's about life in general. And so, as I said, ayahuasca and other plants I'm going to talk about, coca, tobacco, and the Cambo frog medicine, are only a springboard for reflections on life in literature and society. Let me explain this. It's complex, but to simplify it, we in the West tend to be very analytical and go in a straight line, break things down to their components, and we follow one to the other and we get to a conclusion. In the traditional indigenous cosmovision, everything is related to everything else. You can enter at any point and you know, all points lead to the center. It's panoptic. Everything is packed into everything else, and that is my approach in my own manner, because obviously I'm not indigenous.